All right, now that we understand what college really costs, let's talk about how to pay for it, starting with the FAFSA. The free application for federal student aid is your ticket to accessing billions in financial aid, but timing is everything. The FAFSA typically opens on October 1st each year, so mark this date on your calendar with a big red circle. While there have been some delays in recent years, October 1st remains the target date. The application is for the following academic year, so the FAFSA you submit in October 2024 or 2025 is actually for the 2025 or 2026 school year. Think of it like Black Friday shopping. The early birds often get the best deals. Many state institutional aid programs have limited funds that are awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Being early doesn't just mean less stress, it can literally mean thousands of dollars more in aid. So, I worked with two nearly identical families last year. Both had similar incomes, assets, and students with comparable academic profiles. The family that filed in October received an additional $3,500 in state grants that had run out by the time the second family filed in March. Before you can even begin at the FAFSA, you need to set up FSA IDs. This is like creating your digital signature for everything federal student aid related. Both the student and at least one parent need their own separate FSA IDs. The most important thing about creating these IDs is that your information must match exactly what's on file with the Social Security Administration. That means using your legal name, not nicknames, and double checking every digit of your Social Security number. Here's a pro tip. Create these FSA IDs at least 3 days before you plan to complete the FAFSA. Why? Because the system needs time to verify your information with the Social Security Administration. If you try to use a brand new FSA ID to complete the FAFSA immediately, you might run into problems with tax information not transferring correctly. I had a family last year who waited until the state deadline to create their FSA IDs and complete the FAFSA. They couldn't get the tax information to transfer automatically, had to enter everything manually, made some errors, and ended up having to make corrections later. All of this could have been avoided with a little planning ahead. So, here's what you'll need to complete the FAFSA. Social Security numbers for students and parents. Federal income tax returns from the prior year. Records of untaxed income. Information about cash, savings, and checking account balances. Information about investments if you have any. Now, let's talk about this prior year thing. For the 2025-2026 academic year, you'll use 2023 tax information. Yes, that means the information is nearly 2 years old by the time your student starts college. This can be both good and bad. We'll talk about how to handle major financial changes later. Now, one of the most important aspects of the FAFSA is determining whether a student is dependent or independent. This determines whose information goes on the form. The default assumption is that the students under 24 are dependent and need to provide parent information. However, there are some exceptions. A student is automatically considered independent if they are 24 years or older, are married, are a graduate student, are a veteran or active duty military, have children they support, are an emancipated minor or in legal guardianship, are homeless or at risk of homelessness, or have been in foster care since age 13. If the student is dependent, the next question is whose parent information goes on the form. Now, this gets complicated with divorced, separated, or unmarried parents. So here's the rule. You report information for the parent the student lived with during the past 12 months. If that's equal, then it's the parent who provided more financial support. If the parent has remarried, the step-parent's information must also be included. For example, let's say mom and dad are divorced, and the student lived with mom 8 months and the dad 4 months. The student reports mom's information. If mom has remarried, the student must also include the step-parent's information, even if they just got married last week, and even if there's a prenup. So this brings us to a planning opportunity. If mom and dad are divorced but have significantly different incomes, say in this case, dad makes a lot of money and mom doesn't earn as much, It may be financially advantageous to have the child live with mom for at least 6 months of the year, so that you report the lower financial capability on the FAFSA in order to be eligible for more financial aid. And while this can create some inconveniences in terms of logistics or commuting, it may be worth it to have these living arrangements in the years leading up to the FAFSA application because it might save you a significant amount of money. In the updated FAFSA, there are separate sections for students and parents. Either one can start the process and then invite the other to complete their section. This means parents don't see student information and students don't see parent financial information. When sending these invites, make sure the information matches exactly what was used to create the FSA ID. One wrong letter or number and the connection won't work. Now let's talk about how assets are counted in the FAFSA. This is where strategic planning can make a huge difference. Parent assets are assessed at a maximum rate of 5.64%. while student assets are assessed at 20%. That means for every $10,000 in the student's name, they could lose up to $2,000 in eligibility. The same $10,000 in the parent's name would only impact aid by about $564 at most. Assets that are counted include cash, savings, and checking accounts, non-retirement investments, 529 plans owned by the parent or the student, and investment property. Assets that are not counted include your primary home, your retirement accounts like your 401k, 403b, IRA, etc., life insurance policies, and family-owned businesses with fewer than 100 employees. Here's a quick example. The Martinez family has $20,000 in a savings account in their daughter's name that they've been saving since she was born. By moving this money to a parent-owned account before filing the FAFSA, they could potentially increase their aid eligibility by about $2,900 per year. That's over $11,600 over 4 years of college. Another strategic element is school selection. You can list up to 20 schools on the FAFSA, up from 10 in previous years. These schools will automatically receive your FAFSA information. I always recommend using all available slots. Even if you're not 100% sure about a school, more options means more potential financial aid offers to compare later. Now, let's talk about common mistakes to avoid. First, not filing because you think your income is too high. Many families assume they won't qualify for aid, but the FAFSA is about more than just Pell Grants. Even high-income families can qualify for unsubsidized loans and merit scholarships that require FAFSA completion. 2. Missed deadlines. Federal, state, and institutional deadlines can be different. Know all three. 3. Entering incorrect social security numbers or dates of birth. Triple check these. Even one wrong digit can cause major delays. Using nicknames instead of legal names. The system cross-checks with social security records, so use exactly what's on your social security card. 4. Listing only one college. Always list multiple schools to maximize your options. If you run into technical issues, try a different browser. Chrome tends to work pretty well. Clear your browser cache. Use incognito or private browsing mode. And if all else fails, the Federal Student Aid Information Center can help at 1-800-4-FED-AID. That's 1-800, the number 4, FED-AID. Remember, the federal FAFSA deadline isn't the only one that matters. States and individual colleges often have much earlier priority deadlines for aid consideration. When you complete the FAFSA, you'll immediately see a confirmation page. This is not your financial aid offer. It simply confirms that your application was submitted and provides an estimated student aid index, which we'll discuss in our next section. So, now let's talk about what happens after you hit that submit button and how to understand the results you'll receive.